To tell you a secret, for the most of my life, I've been secretly envying those extroverts, people who are born extroverted, because I thought in life, in what people do, being extroverted gives you so many advantages. Like extroverts enjoy being with people. They enjoy communication and they enjoy making social interactions. And that is totally not me. But today I want to share as an introvert how I survived and climbed the corporate ladder to the top. And I'm not saying this to be bragging. It is not my intention because there's nothing to brag about. Rather, I just would share to those who are also introverted what are the tactics and what are the implications if you are also trying to climb the ladders and if you are also motivated to succeed in the corporate world. Back in the days, in my early 30s, late 20s, I was a musician. And even though I did have many opportunities to do gigs, to take lessons, and I ever play with huge audience as well, I was still intrinsically an introvert. And for an introvert to survive and to thrive in the show business, you need to strike a balance between being like a showman and being the true self. And I was, to be honest, always trying to find a balance over there. Sometimes people would find me too stringent in my musical expressions. However, magically, I did play some big shows and I enjoyed music. And that is my background as a musician. And later, as I transitioned myself into the corporate world, and that was the transformative changes for me, because I think most people know in the business world, the extroverts are taking like majority of the higher positions because they tend to be more expressive, they tend to be more outgoing, they are more dared to communicate, to say their opinions. So usually they get promoted much quickly. And from what I see, that is also true around me. The vice presidents, the directors or senior managers, indeed, most of them are extroverts. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't succeed as an introvert. We just need to be clear on our strategies and tactics. So I entered the corporate world very late in my early 30s. And in Taiwan, we call that enter the society. So that basically means you finally got a real job. And I climbed the ladder for 15 years. And I started from a very bottom tier, an engineer. Then I move on to the managerial position and then to the director and senior leadership of my company. And in our business units, is consisted around 70,000 people working together worldwide. As I mentioned, I am not trying to brag about it because I truly believe I was really lucky to have a few mentors who guided me, transformed me to who I am now. And compared with the extrovert people, I did put in great amount of efforts just in order to survive. For example, there's a saying that for the extroverted people, they thrive when they're around with people, so they recharge when people are around. But for an introvert like me, I recharge when I'm alone. So in my work, we have meetings after meetings after meetings. We call them back-to-back meetings. And it could be sometimes very suffocating. And so I have to be very strategic that when I schedule my time, I will leave small blocks where I could retreat to my office and to recharge and to become whole again, and until I go into the next one. So usually I would be very struggling and very exhausted if a day is consisted of a series of consecutive meetings. And the other thing is, in my position, I got so many opportunities to do presentations to very big audience or to a diversity of people. And people thought I look natural, I look confident in front of people, and I'm good at presentation, I believe. And however, they don't know behind the scene, what I put forward to make that look good. For example, I would prepare myself both mentally and physically. Mentally being, I need to be over-prepared. As an introvert, there's a lot of self-criticism and self-doubt, to be honest. And I don't want to miss the beats or missing the information that I needed, I'm required to deliver to the audience, to the people who are listening to me. So oftentimes, I would prepare during the weekends. I would go through my presentation over and over again and doing some mental rehearsal just to make sure I could deliver everything perfectly. And I sometimes envy some of the intelligent extroverts who could just wing it. They could just look at it and forget about it. And next time, when they are doing the presentation, they make it look so natural. They can just wing it and they can improvise and they make it feel like they've been preparing it for forever. But that was totally not me. So that's me, mentally over preparation. And physically, I would be preparing myself to calm myself down, to enter a relaxed mode, to be in the flow. So sometimes before the big meetings, I would be doing some breath works, or in my commute as I'm driving, I would do coherent breathing or wind-hop breathing, just to drag myself out of the thoughts and to physically be more prepared, could be charged or relaxed for big events. And I think that is what people don't see, how much effort myself as an introvert put in there to succeed. And I consider myself truly lucky because I only spent 15 years to be where I am. And one thing I learned in a hard way is that you need to be facing the facts that you could not become an introvert, because that is totally not you. You could fake it, but people will reveal you are just playing a show. And this is what I heard from a senior vice president. Let me tell you a little story. A month back, there was a visitor from our customer, a very senior leadership. Let's call him David, and he visited Taiwan. And he was such a great presenter. He spoke in a way that is authentic. He was great in storytelling, and he was very compelling and very honest. And probably he was one of the best presentation I ever heard in person, because some of the presentations I heard, most of them are transactional, meaning they're just trying to convey you some messages, but you couldn't feel anything that is deeper inside. And in that day, in the dinner, I came up to David. I said, "Hey David, you are such a great speaker and storyteller. I want to learn from you. Can you teach me something?" And he gave me 2 tips. But I thought these are fake. I thought these are not gonna work in the corporate world at the beginning. But as I continued to ruminate and think about what he said, now I think they made total sense. So first he said, you need to speak from your heart. And second, he said, just be yourself. And now that resonates with me so much. It's like a very big blow to me. Then I realized that being introverted is also a gift. And you need to be authentic. You don't want to be someone else. Because when you're trying to be someone else, you are not you. And you don't like you. And when you don't like you, nobody's gonna like you. They're just looking at you like a fake facade. An introvert trying to be outgoing, trying to fake it till you make it, right? So be yourself and speak from the heart. Initially, I thought this is impossible, right? In the corporate world, you couldn't just be speaking from your heart because it's not gonna work. A lot of things is just transactional. It is just business. It is just comments. It is just information. And if you truly speak about what you feel and believe, can you still do your job? That was my initial question. And then later I realized that that was completely true, because if you don't believe what you're speaking in, what you are talking about, then people can feel it. People can discover you're faking it. And that is also why David was so compelling, because when he was talking about his narratives, talking about his strategy, talking about the products he loved so much, he was being very authentic. You can feel always like he is pouring his heart out to tell you his passion and his belief in what he does. So later I understood that is true. And as I continue to learn to speak to the internet right now, today I have a revelation. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be like presenting everything like very systematically like you are a textbook. No. Today I learned just from, as David suggested, speaking from the heart and make genuine connections and be authentic. So I'm being very true. I'm getting real. And this is how an introvert like myself survive the corporate world and thrive as well. Even though I don't know about the future, but one thing I'm certain is that I now truly accept who I am. And I hope this message can come across to you. Maybe you are an introvert as well. Maybe you have your loved ones as introvert. But the truth is, as long as you accept yourself and you put in your effort and you're willing to sacrifice a little bit more, then you're gonna do it. So I would really be happy to hear from your story, hear your thoughts,